Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature, Birding, a Lens on Nature Part 2, presented by NatHab Expedition Leader, Arpita Dutta. I'm your host, Rob Bess. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to you, Arpita.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Rob. This is Arpita, and I have been guiding with Natural Habitat Adventures since 2018. And with wildlife, I'm very much related. It's now over 2 decades. And it's been lovely to share all our experiences and our stories with all the viewers who all get connected every time we log in. So thank you so much. So the first part have been like how you enjoy birding, and today I thought that let's go a little deeper and know about birds. So when we talk about birds, it's been always fantastic because something which is really active, and at the same time, when we look into birds, first we see so much of colors, like so many shades of colors, and they are vocal. So you can hear them all the time around you. With that, we really get impressed by their intelligence, no doubt. So today, let's go back a little bit, like the prehistoric birds we know. And the first specimen which have been got is the Archaeopteryx. But think about it, like birds evolved almost 165 to 150 million years ago. But we still have few birds around us who gives us a sense of prehistoric time. If I talk about the Hudson, which you get in the Amazon, the Equatorian Amazon area, which is also called the living fossil, at least because of its look. And if I talk about this Hudson, we see another thing is their chicks with the claw, like they can climb or support, they get the support from the claw. And then the cassowaries. Being a flightless bird and being their shape and their walk, their call, they all resemble so much from the like Cretaceous period, which is almost like 60 million years back. These have evolved. And when there was a time of non-avian dinosaurs were the dominant animal life on Earth. And of course, cassowaries are really big because I think losing the ability of fly, they could store the energy, so that got something to do with the size. But with that, I would talk about like there are so many families of bird, different, like 249 different families, and that bring with the subspecies and everything, that bring almost 18,000 birds. And we have the smallest, which is a bee hummingbird, which is just 5.5 centimeter. And then we have the largest, which is a common ostrich and near about 280 centimeter. So a combination of whole package we can find in the birds. So let us talk about a little more regarding our birding friends. They are cute, of course, to look at. These photos are of the oriental white-eye, very tiny bird, size of a little less size of a house sparrow. And when it comes to birds, let me tell you, like we connect. I think the first thing comes to our mind is they can fly. And then we feel that I wish I can fly too. I remember during when I was really small, I used to ask my mom that, can I fly? I mean, how do they fly? So my mom used to give answer that they have wings. And of course, I don't have just a pair of limbs. But I kind of used to tie up a lot of scarves and stuff and feel like that I'm flying too, and run around in the terrace, that I can fly like birds, but never could lift myself up from the ground. That's, yeah. But when we talk about the wings, because the wings have feathers, so that is a very important part a bird has, because that is the reason why we separate them. They can fly and they can travel, they can cross the boundaries, and I think because of the wings, they are found in every habitat across the world, starting from the icing region to the tropical forest and everywhere, wetland, rivers, wherever you see, there would be some movement of the birds. So, first, when we talk about feathers, there are different types of feathers which helps the bird to build up their flight feathers, the wing feathers, the tail, the semi-plume, which gives it soft, the down feathers, and the bristle. All these are different types. So, if I talk that how do the feather grows on wings, let me tell you, it doesn't happen in, from the muscle. It just happen on the outside skin. So imagine a pool of cells making a group on the skin and making a bump together over and again. So imagine your nails. When the new cells are growing, they push the outer cell, and that's how your keratin skeleton happens. The same grows like your hair follicle. Hair comes from the hair follicle. The feather comes from the feather follicle, and the continuous deposition of the cell pushes the upper layer, and like tiny cylindrical shape gradually forms, and slowly it grow into the feathers, and they have different types grow on, and this process is called chronification. The skin cell process a keratin skeleton of protein. And you know what? This down feather, I know that we all wear a down jacket. Till now, I'm wearing because it's very cold here. And but the down feather are used to keep the bird so warm, and we can consider that that is way more better and gives so much of insulation to the bird than any of the synthetic fiber we use for our jackets. So this, imagine the sail coordination can give different types and beautiful patterns with pigmentation. So there are few bars, like if we draw something like a systematic pattern, and the sail coordinate to push the pigment with the sails, and we get to see different colors and patterns on the bird wings, which are very different from each other, from every family of birds. And that's so interesting. So once we talk about the feathers, they are aligned in a different way so that the birds give a lot of protection, and I think the insulation, fly, they help to camouflage as well as they use for display. But with that, again, we come back to the bird flight. A very important thing is the bird bone. The bird bone have your lightweight skeleton made up of hollow bones. Like this, the bottom one is the human one. You see the bone marrow that is very much, you know, the molecules or the bone is tightly contact to each other, but they have the bird bones have so many air pockets in between, which keeps the body very light. And there we talk about the bird bones. Let's not go to so many parts of the bone, but the main bone is the keel, which helps the bird to fly. So the flightless bird has no keel bone, because with this keel bone, the powerful flight muscle are attached with. But you know what? Unlike other flightless bird, emu and ostrich have hollow femur bones only. They don't have. And rather, it has been seen that the gliding and soaring birds have more hollow bones than the diving birds. So if I talk about a duck, they would have more composed and this bone rather than a vulture. Then with the flight, I think the bird is another thing which is very important for the birds. I think for human as well, but for birds it makes so difference. That is their eyes. So the bird's eye have, like the same human or other animal, birds have the upper eyelid and lower eyelid, but they have something else which is called the nictitating membrane. So over you see they have a third eyelid, which is a semi-transparent one, and sometimes they do it for lubricating as well as to avoid the dust and the air when they are soaring or fly high. So this is how the nictitating membrane looks like. And then we talk about the bird vision, and that has the two different types of vision. They have binocular and molecular vision. So imagine binocular vision is like both eye focused on same object at the same time, like eagles or all the birds of prey has, and even the movement is coordinated, because that's how they become more perfect, to get the prey on. And then another vision is the molecular vision, which is like each eye focused on different object at a particular movement. For example, the prey species. Imagine when a falcon is looking, that is coming, like they are taking they are looking at the same object with a very specific vision. But when it comes to the prey, like prey species, for example, a pigeon maybe, um, if you look at them and if you know that they are looking at you, they will always look sidewise. So their side vision is very powerful rather than the vision they have in front. And of course, with that, I would tell you for an example of the molecular vision, which we generally come across, of the kingfisher or any other waders like sandpipers, godwit, all these birds. If you have noticed, while walking, they will start nodding their heads. Or when a kingfisher is perched on a branch, looking at the river or water, they will keep on move. They will keep a very like up and down movement of the eye. So that, in a very simple way, I would say they click pictures from both the eyes and bring the picture together in the middle to get a proper access of their prey. And that's very interesting to see them, like little birds nodding. It seems like they have been busy, but they are actually doing an incredible like way or a mission to bring all the things together. A lot of calculation keeps on going with that. And specifically about, if we specifically if we talk about the bird's eye, I would like to bring the eye of the kestrel, or I would say birds can see ultraviolet, um, like ultraviolet range. Their ultraviolet range is really high. So if I take an example of the kestrel, they can actually see the trail mark of the rat, mole, or any other small mammal who leaves their urine trail on the access their food From cracking a seed shell to breaking a bone to tearing a flesh and also spearing a fish. They have been used for everything. So if I come to this, if I talk about the birds of prey, their hooked bill is easier to hold the prey and tear the muscle up and feed on it. Talking about the small nutcrackers or birds who feed on seeds have more conical shaped beak. Even the spoonbill, with because the flat bill for swinging, they just move through the water, and whatever it gets stuck, it's easy for them to catch it. The woodpecker, they have a very strong beak with a cushion in the head, I would say, and they also have a long tongue. To after pecking, they get their tongue inside the hole and can grab the insects from there. For the pelican, they are amazing. Like we scoop up all the soup, they scoop the water with the fish and then push the water out and just gulp the fish as whole. Somehow I prefer it's wonderful to see a merganser because, there is a small hook in front of their beak. And with this help, they actually can topple the small pebbles and like stones inside the river, the flowing river, and they can catch fish. And same thing with the whimbrel or curlew, which has a very long sickle beak, and they get worms and crabs out of the sand. So yeah, they use for different reason. And yeah, this one is a darter. See, it's a spearing, so it's not only holding the like fish, it's already most of the time it's spear the fish and catch hold of it. And once the fish is dead, somehow they take it out and topple it and then catch it to have it. Imagine a macaw cracking, just taking out the husk off from the shell and getting the nuts from it. So beak are not only used for having the food. Birds use beak for using as a tool, just like the drongo here holding a twig. So sometimes they insert the twig in any of the ant termites, or if there are any grabs inside the dead and decaying branches, so that they, just like the chimpanzees, how they do, they put the stick inside, they come up with the ants, and this is how the drongo can hunt as well. Talking about the beak, we cannot avoid, especially staying in Indian subcontinent, I cannot avoid, talking about the great hornbill. This is absolutely a stunning bird and huge. And with the hornbill, I think the very unique structure of their bill. It has a bulky hollow structure which called the casque. This upper portion of the beak is the casque, and it strengthens the beak and also resonate the sound chamber while they are vocalizing. So if you are in the tropical forest, you might hear, where there are hornbills, you might hear like a pom pom, this kind of I'm doing it very bad, um but you can hear this kind of sound from, and it can be really loud. It seems like the bird is very close, but with the echo you have to understand that how far the bird could be, because the sound comes out really loud. And of course, this also is a structure for, knowing the sexual maturity. The more they grow, the cusp becomes more stronger, more broad, and the male and female both have this cusp. So, talking about the bills and the feathers and the bones, so many things. But I think more with that, we get, before we see them, we get to hear them. Like all the time in the morning, and living in a forest or around the nature or in the cities, you get to hear them now and often. So It's about the bird calls, and they do have like different vocalization. So one would be the short duration, which we call a call, and there would be another one which is the bird song, which is really complex, and they do it for a long duration. You know, to produce the song, the bird spends a lot of energy, so that has to be used for a genuine purpose, and that is, of course, to impress its mate. And the call, when they are making the calls, they have these process. I mean, there is a thing called sirens or sirens, how you would say it. What it helps, that it divides between the the vocal sounds using a syrinx, an organ located where the trachea splits into two bronchial tube. So if I show you here, this is the bronchial tube here, and this sounds resonates, and there is a membrane which would start vibrating, and that's how the sound comes out. So, and unlike human, birds produce vocal sounds in different time, and I would say at the same time they can come up with different notes, and they can modulate as well, with rising and falling notes simultaneously, and that is incredible. So for songs, whenever there is a bird song you would hear, you see there are a lot of things are happening anatomically to produce that. So listening to them would be incredible. And if I talk about the bird notes, the one at the top is a graph of a bird song. See, there are so many continuous notes which are happening, and there are some, the darker portion are for the where they are putting the lower notes, and this is of the call. So it's like short and very light. So this is how the two differences you can make. So after the calls, what do you think that the birds do for all? I mean, do all these things, of course, to survive, and bring the next generation this whole work. And the characteristic, they have different characteristic which simplifies their life, what we see, but they actually go through a very hard work. That's why we never see, most of the time we never see birds are sitting idle, like the reptiles maybe, because they are always very active. So, as we have already spoken about the beak, we would talk about some feeding behavior. Sometimes it happens that we get to know that this is that bird or a bird from that family by looking at its feeding behavior. Suppose over here there is a heron, and it has been seen that the heron in a sunny daylight, when there is it's difficulty to see what is underwater, they kind of spread their wings and cover that area to create a shadow, and then they do fishing. That's so intelligent about it. And even some pond herons has been seen that they are baiting a fish, and when the fish comes to baiting a fish with some particle of food, and when the fish comes to feed on it, they quickly grab it. Sorry. And then comes to the deeper, this white and brown one. They are fun. They dive in the water. They can swim a bit as well with the flow of the current, and they grab hold of their prey, which could be fish and small crustaceans, and they swim back to that flow, and they choose a particular stone or an area where they will stuck into, and every time they will go, they swim with the flow and again fly back to the same position. They keep on doing for hours and hours, and it's amazing to look at. Then it's the like the hooked beak, as I was telling, and the margazer can have huge size of fish just like that. And then comes to this kingfisher. This is a stalk-billed kingfisher. which is one of the big kingfisher we have in Indian subcontinent. And you know what? With its molecular vision, they calculate the shape, distance, and the speed. Then almost they dive in 90-degree angle, like for accuracy, but still they succeed only 18 to 20%. But imagine so much of hard work, so much of thing they go, and that is a success rate. Yeah, but that's how you know that you have to work so hard to get something. And then one of my favorite raptor when I talk about are the ospreys. And one more thing about the ospreys are they don't have cousins. They are the only one and only from the same family, and the Osperidae family. So they don't have any cousin. And when we talk about osprey, we cannot think about anything else rather than the strength and the agility. The strong talon and the flight muscle, they can catch hold of a fish almost 2/3 of their body weight. And the presence of the oil glands in their wing help them to come out of the water after diving with its prey. And that's, I mean, they can go almost the complete, apart from the head part, they can go inside the water. That's amazing. And now when we talk about hunting, birds have a wonderful connection between each other. And that's the hunting party we call. That when you suddenly in a forest patch, you see some movements of many birds from different families and different species are damn busy and active. You just observe them and you would know that they are actually partying around. You know, there are different types of birds from different zones. Like some are ground feeders, some are middle canopy feeder, the upper canopy feeder, and there are few who are very opportunist. That means they are only seeking some chance to get a free food from someone. So this is how this hunting party takes over, and it happens only for like 3 to 5 minutes maximum. But within that, there would be a lot of activity, and again they gone, because that's how they keep on changing the places, and they all go together. But talking about that, I must say that the mimicking of the bird, because over here in the India subcontinent, we have a bird called the racketal drongo and the black drongo. Even mostly the drongo species, they do amazing mimicking. And what they do is, this is a raptor. So when the hunting party is going on, so this racketal drongo will mimic the call of this crested hawk eagle, um, like, sorry, I'm a bad whistler, but it's a very note. It's a metallic, but the drongo does it in a very metallic note. But it calls, mimic the call of this bird, and there is the black drongo, which mimics the call of this bird, which is called the shikra. It is a very small raptor, like chee choo. This is the call this shikra does, and this is how it mimics, and that actually helps them to clear their feeding like place. All the birds get scared and they fly away, and they get their feast from that area. Even this drongo doesn't stop only at mimicking. Sometimes it happens that they, being an opportunist, just like the jackals, when bigger animals or big cats hunt down their prey, and the jackals steal the flesh from that carcass. So here what happens, the woodpecker do a very hard work, that they peck the hard wood and take out the insect. After they take out the insect, before they could have it, this drongo keeps on mobbing that woodpecker and pecking it over and again, unless the woodpecker drops it food from its beak, and it's so easy for the drongo to get it. And when, of course, after the osprey, if we talk about the birds of prey, this is a golden eagle. hunting down a red fox. And look at the talons over here. So imagine the power it has. Huge, the grip, the strength, and the sharpness of the talon. It's so difficult for any animal to get out of it. Sorry. And this is a few days back, I had this sighting in the forest. It's the same crested hawk eagle. Let me tell you the size difference, you would understand. It is preying on Indian peafowl, or the peahen, the female of the peacock. So the crested hawk eagle size is around 14 centimeter, and the peahen size is near about 95 centimeter. So imagine being smaller in size just because of the strength of the talon and this accuracy. It could hunt down a peafowl. Let me tell you a little bit about the sighting. In the forest, suddenly it was about to be evening, and suddenly we heard a distress call of a peacock. And it's very unusual. Generally, we hear distress call of peacock when there are leopards or tiger or any other predator is around. But that was a very different call. And we rushed. And then we saw that this crested hawk eagle has already captured the peafowl, and it was giving out its last call before it took its last breath. So this is how the raptors are. So after all this feeding and everything, so they need to live their life, right? So we could come across the beautiful courtship rituals they make to attract the respective mate. The mating dance they do, and the charming songs to woo the partners, which can be distinguished from species to species. So birds are sure to choose the genuinity or the genetically compatible mates. Oh, that sounds like they have some brains to do so much, and they have some patience to keep on nudging behind the female to make her, to impress her. I think we have come across a lot of bird documentaries, especially the birds of prey. Sorry, not the birds of prey, it's the birds of paradise, how they tirelessly work out to impress the female. So, you know what? The different courtship behavior also reduce the territorial aggression, and also letting the birds to relax together to form a pair bond. That's amazing. And there are few birds who paired for life, and also displays the strength, health, intelligence, and the mating desirability. So the courtship behavior always come along with the singing, dancing, display, preening, feeding, and even building nest. You know, some male build a partial nest to show off their architectural skills to the female. And once they get hold of the female, they complete the nest. So that is how it's. These are like beautiful Sarus crane. Sometimes you get to see them that in the open field, unaware of the presence and the dance. It seems like they're gliding, and in the air they're stretching their wings and making like a call like that. So the singing and the ritual, everything happens together. And I think whoever can witness a mating of the birds and the way they do it, it's absolutely a delightful sight. And so when we when we are coming across those things, I would like to tell that even, there are few birds who are exceptionally try hard to do something. So here comes the black shoulder kite, and even many other raptors. They try to offer the food even in the mid-air, just like the same thing is happening with these birds. This is a black shoulder kite. They fly with the food, and somehow if the female is hovering and searching for food, the male will come close with the food and it drops it in front of the female, and the female go and grabs it. So this is how they do it in the mid-air. But one interesting characteristic of this bird is the oriental magpie robin. So what it does, it's kind of a real estate attitude it has. So this is a solitary bird, and it's very selfish about its territorial or the home range. At very early in the morning and in the midday, it will keep on singing to woo the female or to claim its territory, to know that the female around this in this area would be mine. So letting the other male know about it. This is how it does. But it does another thing. Apart from courtship, they don't share their food. But this time it will bring the food to the female and keeps on feeding her. They don't stop there. They're very bad nest builder. But they will select 3-4 places around that area and put some twigs scattered in those places, and then it will bring the female along with him and show all these places. The female will go check those areas, and then if she likes any one of them, it will gather the twig together and sit on it, and then rest the male understands that okay, she has selected this home, and then he manages to build the whole nest. How funny that is to look at. It happened in my terrace only. So with that, building a nest, we have to talk about the buyer weavers. I think they are incredible nest builder. So they what they do is the same thing. They, to impress the female or to attract the female, they start building a very partial nest, and once the female agrees to this, it then finishes the whole nest. And see how beautifully it's knitted. I mean, every time we see a vacant weaver nest, try to open it up, or how they have entangled all this husk and grass together, it's out of our league, at least my league. I mean, I could not understand the single knot it has given. So that's complicated nest. I would see they do like nest in tall palm trees or some acacia plants, and they do colonizing nest as well. So here comes another few more birds. It's the Asian birds of paradise, the sunbird and the tailor bird. So this paradise flycatcher and the sunbird, they use different types of husk material, grass, twigs, even soil, and also cobweb to bind the thing together. And a small cup-shaped nest they create. And then comes to the sunbird here. So here you see they also build a small portico to avoid the rain and other things. So it's amazing. Like the female comes, it's like parking area. They stop for a little time and then again fly back. But this nest has been built by both male and female together. Then it comes to the tailor bird. By the name tailor, we can say the stitching. So what they do, it's a very tiny bird. They bring two leaves together and they sew it, kind of making holes, and then the straw, they pass on the straws and bind together, put a lot of other like feathers of different birds or whatever soft material they get into that leaf, and then they lay the egg. So this is how this build the nest. And you know what? More often we come across this tailor even between two leaves. Sometimes, sorry, between two twigs. If they find a broad leaf, they tie the broad leaf on both the lamellae or on both the edge with those twigs to build a nest. So, and after that, we would talk about the hornbill again, because it's very unique way how they build a nest. The hornbill go and search. They are paired for life, and they search for a hole, or the natural crevices in the big tall trees. And when the courtship is over, the female go into the hole, and both of them, with the mud and saliva, they seal the hole. Only there is a small gap from where the male can feed the female as well as the chicks continuously. So it takes more than 2.5 months to come out, the chicks to come out, I mean, with the flight feathers. But till the time, it's the sole responsibility of the male to take care of the family. But the females also lose her flight feathers to make a cushion bed for the chicks, to give a soft cushion. And so that's the reason why, even if that time, if anything, any predator or anything happened to the nest, the female and the chicks all would die. And this beautiful kingfisher, imagine, with that tiny bird, they keep on digging up a hole along the bank of the river and put and build their nest. There would be chicks inside. It will go somehow and hiding it from the other predators. And this is how they do it. And this is a section from here. But it's incredible to do that. And not all the kingfishers, though. Some kingfishers also build nest on the tree holes as well. So this is how the bird life is. But when we talk about the nesting and rearing the young, I think this brood parasitic bird, just like the cuckoo, they lay their egg in other bird nest and sparing themselves the expense of rearing their own young. And this chick is also so intelligent that they just push the other egg from the nest so that it can get the whole attention from the like fostering parents. That's how their life is. But when we talk about their life, we have to also consider that birds have lot more thing to do in our life as well. So when we talk about daily of their daily thing in our life, I have just given few examples. There are many, but the first and foremost initial thing, I think that V-shape flying pattern the bird forms. So the that pattern helps the bird to conserve much energy, getting less tired during a long flight. And the engineers considered kind of surfing, and it is helping them to devise the aircraft, the flight, strategies that conserve more fuel than ever before. And that's how I think our whole like aircrafts and even I would say there is a Hawk, Indian Hawk, one Air Force aircraft is there, which has been designed by the pattern of the peregrine falcon. How they close their wings and go so fast with the speed. That's how it has made. But with that, I would come another, we cannot forget about the Shinkansen. I think in 1990, this has been brought. So this Japan's bullet train, that Shinkansen, are a celebrated example of the biomimicry or the inspired innovation from the birds. So in 1990, the design team module the train nose on a streamlined bill of a kingfisher. because they have been noticed that when a kingfisher dive with so much of speed, they hardly make some ripple on the in the water surface before it dives. I mean, before the splashes out. So increasing the length of the nose of the train and sculpting it to resemble a kingfisher beak, the train were better able to enter and exit tunnels without creating a sonic boom. Otherwise, I think before that, all the people who have been living around those areas would never be able to sleep because of so much of sound. And that's a noise pollution for, I think, for the city and for the people as well as for the nature. So the result remarked reduction of the noise like management, as well as because of the speed is also like 350 kilometer per hour, it increased the fuel efficiency by 13%. So imagine the significance of birds or their way of living a life helps us to conserve the fuel and energy as well in our technology. And when we talk about technology, there is a very unique thing of a hummingbird, which is could be the small thing, but it's an aerovironment nano hummingbird. So what has happened is they developed as a prototype for US Defense Advanced Research Project Academy. They formed that. The wing size would be only 10, like 10 of size, and the total would be like 6, even less than 6 inches they have produced. So it is like a drone device that mimics the flight of the hummingbird to gain an agile and maneuverable edge. Imagine a hummingbird can fly, their flight speed would be 5 miles per hour. So this one is specifically designed for that. And because of the size and the lightweight, it can access unreachable places and gather information via the attached camera to it. So that's why whenever you see a hummingbird near about your windows and all, just look at it. It could be a spy cam. Just no, not like that, but of course I know that in some of you or some places you have seen like bird feeders in the bird feeders, and you have seen lots of hummingbirds are hovering around, and you sometimes, so it's so difficult to see that how many times they are moving their wings, and that's incredible things in our life. But with that, we have some wonderful stories or a continuation of a lot of things that helps to understand that birds are very intricate part of our life. Talking about that, we can say that beautiful language of people who talk like birds. So in the northern Turkey, a village called Kuskoy, there the people speak in bird language. They have different whistle to communicate, just like the birds. And Kuskoy making the effort to keep the practice alive through its annual bird festival. So here, I mean, since 1997, they have been doing this, and in the remote villages, they are following this. Especially in Turkey, in a lot of other villages also they do this like whistling thing like birds. Even in India, there is a state called Meghalaya towards northeast side. They used to do this, and in 2017 also it brought into the very small community to that they brought into the news. But somehow this telephone and so much of technology, that is slowly we are losing this beautiful way of connection or the communication. So the Kuskoy, in Kuskoy village in that area, they have also even started teaching the students of the primary class the bird language since 2014. Hopefully someday we will be able to hold on to all these cultures and feel great about it. And with this, we would say another conservation story. It's a beautiful conservation story is the Hornbill Festival, which happens in Nagaland. thousands and thousands of people do come from across the world to participate in this program. And this place is also situated in northeastern side of India. So what happens is initial days when people, they are mainly hunters. So they used to hunt down hornbills and they put the tusk on their cap to, to make that pride or the clan leader, they used to wear it. But due to the reducing in number, and we were having very small number of birds in those areas were left, birds have stopped coming or hovering, making nest into that area. The realization happened before it got too late. A lot of organizations started working with the tribes as well as with the community people to bring this as a festival. So there are now homestays, and the tribes, the community, they all put their effort to celebrate this festival, and they don't use any more hornbill cask. So now like acrylic casks are made so that the clan leader can wear it according to their tradition, but no birds are harmed ever, because now they can earn due to this festival. And I think this is a very good example for conservation tourism, what we require now. And I think, of course, who all are traveling with NatHab, they know better, and who all are working with NatHab, they know better that how conservation tourism is taking place and developing the other communities in different areas wherever NatHab is stepping in. So I definitely feel so proud being in this organization and taking the lead also to do my bit in the part of conservation. So taking in that, so whenever you go the trip with NatHab or without NatHab, just keep birding. Bird watching can give you so much pleasure and happiness and so many things to learn. We have this bird watching could be really, really big topic, but somehow we have to cut them down. Maybe some other time I will discuss. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Rob, for connecting all of us.
Thank you, Arpita. Now, before we start with the question and answer session, I'd like to remind everyone that you can submit your questions via the question field in the control panel. So, Arpita, can I ask you, do feathers continue to grow like human hair does?
Yes, they do. So just like the hair follicle we have, they have the bird follicle. And if anyone could Google the photo of macaw that is very visible, or the other birds, it's called cylindrical tube. So they will see some white thing coming out of the birds. So those are the formation of the new feathers. That's why every time, every year, they lose few feathers and they regrow it.
Wow, that's very interesting. Is there a difference between what a beak is or what a bill is, or are those terms used interchangeably?
That is interchangeable, like with the different terminology. And we say that, suppose for the beak, we say which would be sharp and pointed, and the bill are mostly we use the word for like flat and roundish in shape, which are for like, we would talk about the beak of the birds of prey, and we can talk about the like a duck bill. So that's how the differently we use the words.
Thank you for clarifying that, Arpita. Now, are songbirds in general, are they distinguished by having a backwards claw, or is that just a variation on some?
Sorry, can you come again with the question?
Yeah, we in the pictures we saw a bunch of songbirds that have backwards claws. Is that typical for songbirds, or is that just a unique thing for some birds?
Songbirds have backward claw. Did you say claw?
Yes, yes.
No, the claws have nothing to do with the songbird. The passerine or any birds have a singing capability just to attract their mates, but that has nothing to do with their claws.
Great, great, thank you. Now, can I ask you, what is the lifespan in general for birds? I'm sure it varies to some degree.
Okay, so it says, before I answer this, I would say that for who are very fast flyers, they have little span of life. And who are like soaring or like vultures, they have a larger span of life. So because the more they I mean, how much you are executing with your energy. So say for a hummingbird, that could be like 3 to 5 years, and for a vulture sometime it can go to like 20 to 25 years, maybe 25 years in average.
Wow, that's fascinating. Now, about nests, do birds reuse these woven nests, or do they build new nests every year?
No, they build a new nest because they have to impress the female every time. It's not like that they would say that I already have a home. Will you come and stay with me? That doesn't happen with birds. So the female needs to see the capability of the male every time. Then only she will be agreed to mate with that male.
I see. Wow, that's a lot of pressure, huh?
Yes, but you know what, Rob? For this weaver, the buyer weaver, which does this intricate nesting, they will do a lot of like compartment kind of nest along with the main nest. So one is for the main female, and the others are for just like having good friends around you.
I see. Wow, birds are so fascinating. But
Okay.
unfortunately, that's the last question we have time for today. So I'd like to hand it back to you for any closing comments you may have.
Thank you so much, Rob. And thank you everyone who has tuned in today. And I hope you have enjoyed. And if you have any questions, please email that to us so that we can get back to you with the answer. And thank you so much, so much. Have a great day, all of you. Thank you, Rob, once again.
Thank you so much. And I'd also like to thank everyone who tuned in today. Join us next time for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out this week's lineups, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude today's webinar. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.